If your business has a merchant cash advance, the fee may not be the number that hurts you the most. There's another number that most business owners overlook, and in this case, overlooking it nearly bankrupted that business. Watch this video to understand the secrets of the MCA loan sharks. Most business owners think a 40% merchant cash advance costs them 40%. However, in this case that we'll review in this video, it was actually costing them closer to 80% per year, and that misunderstanding nearly bankrupted them. The problem isn't and wasn't just the fee. The problem is the math. A construction company received $50,000 advance. In return, they agreed to repay $71,000. Most owners will stop here and think, okay, that's a 42% fee, but that's not the real number that you should consider. The real question is, how fast do you have to pay it back? This MCA that we're analyzing in today's video required daily payments of $546. The repayment period was about 6 months. When you annualize that cost, the effective cost of capital jumps to roughly 80 to 85%. And stop and think about that for a second. This was a construction company. Many small construction businesses operate on net profit margins of around 10 to 12%. Even the really good ones, maybe 15, 20%. So here's the question. How does a business making 10% or even 12% or 15% or even 20% survive when they're having to pay 80% for their capital on an annualized basis? It doesn't work. That's not emotion, it's math. It's real danger. The biggest problem here wasn't just the fee, it was the repayment compression. The MCA created a monthly payment burden of roughly $11,500. That's a massive amount of cash leaving the business every month. And the cash flow doesn't just slowly disappear, it gets compressed. And eventually it stalls. That's when vendor payments get delayed. That's when payroll gets tighter. That's when the pressure really starts to build. So what happened next? Well, that's exactly what happened in this case for this particular client that we worked with. The cash flow tightened, the vendor relationships became strained, the business defaulted, and then litigation followed. This particular MCA creditor filed a lawsuit for nearly $60,000 plus their statutory interest. At that point, PRG was brought in to negotiate. PRG negotiators worked on negotiating two things: a reduction of the balance and a restructuring of the payment. The settlement amount was ultimately reduced to $42,000, which is great, but the real win wasn't the discount. The real win was restoring breathing room. This new structure that my team negotiated created 3 months of payments at $1,500, 6 months at $3,750, and 3 months at $5,000. The average monthly payment dropped to about $3,500, and if you compare that to the original burden of more than $11,000 per month, it's completely changed. Same business and much different runway. Here's the lesson that every business owner should understand. The problem wasn't just the MCA. It was a high fee combined with a short repayment window. That's what causes the effective cost of capital to just explode, and that's what creates the financial fragility. So before signing any merchant cash advance, ask yourself 4 questions. What is the annualized cost? How does it compare to my business's profit margin? Can my cash flow support the payment? Because when repayment pressure exceeds your margin capacity, the outcome becomes predictable. If you're already carrying MCA debt and the math isn't working, don't wait for default. Don't wait for collection calls. Don't wait for litigation. PRG will help a business owner analyze their options, negotiate with creditors, and restore financial breathing room before a crisis becomes unavoidable. Because sometimes the difference between survival and collapse isn't just the debt, it's the structure.